gamers, Princess Angel here for GameAccess.net. Today I'm talking about my third art book, Half-Life 2, Raising the Bar. I really like, first of all, I need to talk about this cover. I like how this is frosted over the cover art. It's the logo for Half-Life. It's a very interesting frosting. It's not too much that it's like cutting off the legs or anything, but it's just that subtle amount that, if you can see that, it really works. Of course, this is a dust cover and it is a hardcover binding. It's about $35 in the United States. A little pricier in Canada. Not so pricey here in Europe, but I'm sure you can find it if you really dig for it. The first thing I want to talk about is the table of contents. Like the Halo book before it, it does make a distinction between the main categories and the subcategories. The subcategories are in a nice orange, and then the main categories are in a nice gray with a box. So it's a very interesting distinction, but it uses the colors that are synonymous with Half-Life, which is the orange and the black, and then it uses a light gray. And it's a very good contrast. Even though everything is pretty much bolded, they make the contrast with colors. So it's different than just changing the typeface, but it is a very interesting move that can work overall. And I almost forgot to mention something at the beginning of the book, the foreword. Now, like I said with the Alan Wake one, what I liked was that with the foreword they gave a picture of the writer. I just want to give you guys a heads up, this is not the writer. This is the main character of the story, of the game. Now, I pretty much know that, and I'm sure a lot of you know that, but there are some people who, don't really get art books, who don't really know half the time what the writers look like or the developers look like. So they might see a game character who, like this one, doesn't really have their face shown in the game because you're in third person. So they might think, that must be a CGI, rendered version of them, and that's pretty cool. It's not, it's the game character. I don't really have a lot of complaints with this book. They pack it with a lot of concept art, which is Half-Life 2, during Half-Life, during Half-Life 1. There's even drawings with the concept art that look like I use these special kind of markers when I had to do sketches once. And it looks like they use the same kind, which are like blacks and like different tints of blacks that are almost grays, like 25% black or 25% gray. So it almost looks like they used them almost to help sketch out what they were drawing, and then use them as shadows and tints to lay out scenes, which is an interesting move, and I think it helps bring the drama to what they want their overall scene to look like when you're playing as the character. They also add, footnotes and scripts that they want, the characters to say, or what they want to happen within the game, which is really interesting because so far in the art books that I've covered, they haven't had any of this. Like, they don't have any scanned, scripts saying, well, this is what I want this character to say, or I want that character to say. It seemed like they were basically more focused on, this is how I want this character to look, to act, to feel, but not, what they're going to say. And as a side note, they actually used multiple people. It is illustrated in the book. They did use multiple people to make up this render, which is pretty interesting when you think about it, because this is really the only time you get to see this guy's face. You don't see it in the game. It's not like in Portal or Portal 2 when you can, change the portals and arrange them in a certain way so you can see what your main character looks like. There's no reflections. There's no way for you to tell what the character looks like. So you can't really know unless you've seen the concept art. The game also shows like early concepts and designs for some of the enemies for the games, even some of the characters. I mean, like I said, they used multiple people to make up the main character, but they also used people to make up like the other characters as well, plus like emotions like happy, sad, angry, disappointed, things like that. I know I keep going back to the binding, but surprisingly the binding in this book is a lot better than the last two books. It's a lot flatter almost with the pages, so like there's not a lot of overlap of the 2-page spread cover art or concept art. So it really doesn't look like, you know, half of it is going like this and half of it is going like that. It actually looks like it's supposed to be one flowing piece, which might mean they might have different margins than the other two books that I looked at. It makes me wonder, what did they know about margins that the other two different companies didn't? Because clearly they knew something. I mean, the only thing about this art book that I really didn't seem to like, but I noticed that it had happened. I don't remember what particular page it was, but there actually were 2 pages. One page, 2 of the pictures were on top of one big picture, but it was just in a way that the 2 pictures were like this over here in La La Land, and the other one was here. So they really needed to be like this, in my opinion. But maybe that was just to fill the page up. The other one was about a concept art CGI that was very pixelated. And the only way I could tell is because the edges were very jagged and square. Yet all the other CGI pictures that I saw within the book of concept didn't really have any jaggedness in them, which obviously that goes back to, you know, the software and mods that they used at the time. You know, they weren't as you know, high tech as they are today. There wasn't any HD, you know, anti-aliasing or any of that. I mean, obviously now we don't have to worry about that in our games, and that kind of problem ceased to exist. But yes, there was a little pixelation, and some of the in-game screenshots showed some pixelation as well, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like you couldn't tell what everything was, but I really wish they had, I don't know, maybe fixed it a little bit, but considering the technology they had and the time they probably had to make this book, they probably couldn't make high-res or better quality photos than what they had. But other than that, guys, I mean, this is a pretty good art book. I mean, it's very well done, very well organized. Has a lot more content as far as art concepts and ideas than the other 2 books seem to have that I reviewed the last time. So check it out, Half-Life 2. Bye, guys.